Welcome to TMZ Live. Harvey Levin here.
Charles here.
So we broke news on the website a few minutes ago. Cassie, who you could see a couple of weeks ago seemed ready to pop, is now at a New York hospital in the labor unit. And we are told there is some complication by one source, but she is there.
Yeah, they're at this hospital. And look, as we're speaking now, we know she's at the hospital. By the time you see this, maybe she's already had the baby. We don't know what the status is. It is also possible that she goes into labor but doesn't have the baby today. We don't know what's going to happen.
It's also very possible she's actually in labor because she's in the labor unit there.
Right.
So obviously that was something that you saw coming. Yeah,
and they were concerned that it might happen while she was testifying. You remember the judge made a point with the defense saying, you have to finish on this Friday because we are not bringing her back next week.
Right. And what's interesting here is we were told by her attorney a few weeks ago that she probably wouldn't go into labor until the end of the month. It is obviously the 27th. But from the source that we're speaking to right now that is familiar with her being in the hospital, they're basically saying they're in this decision moment right now where it's like, is she going to give the baby today or could it be another week? Do they wait another week? So it sounds like she's having contractions right now.
Right. So again, not unexpected. We're not sure the nature of whatever this complication is, but obviously wish her well. Let's get into the trial because I got to tell you, for most of last week, I'd been kind of beating this drum that these racketeering charges seem forced to me, that this felt like a jealous, crazed, even criminal boyfriend, but it didn't feel like racketeering. This has changed in a big way.
Because Capricorn Clark, former assistant to Diddy, actually she had a different title than assistant, but she was managing a lot of artists, including Cassie. She testified this morning and absolute bombshells about the things that she claims that Diddy said to her, that others in the organization said to her, what she went through as an employee there, and particularly because she was an employee who used to work at Death Row Records.
Which is a big deal. Remember, Death Row run by Suge Knight. We talked about this confrontation last week where there was testimony by Diddy's assistant that when Diddy found out that Suge Knight had been at Mel's Diner on the Sunset Strip, Diddy loaded up his car with 3 guns, his assistant and security, and went to confront Suge. Suge told us then he thought if he was still at Mel's, that gun would have been used.
Well, Capricorn says that she herself was threatened by Diddy. She said that when Diddy found out that she used to work at Death Row, he said, well, if things don't work out, I might have to kill you.
Yeah, look, her testimony has been explosive. Capricorn used to work for Suge. She says she was in Central Park with Diddy. It sounded like sort of a job interview sort of scenario where he said to her, we'll have to see what happens. I may have to kill you, which some people would receive as maybe a joke, knowing that they had a rivalry. She says she took it very seriously, and more so, she says there were...
work with her? I don't understand. I work with this guy. This makes no sense.
Look, her credibility is going to be right on Front Street. You're going to have to decide whether you believe what she's saying, because she also says during her time with Diddy, she was accused of stealing jewelry. She was taken in for polygraph tests in dilapidated buildings.
Fired, but Diddy fired her. So she's got an axe to grind too, possibly.
Yeah, no, this is the
I'm
jury's
sure
going
they'll
to
bring
hear
that
all
up
this
on
and
cross.
decide.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
But hold on, there was we got to get one other part of her testimony because she brought up the Kid Cudi incident where Diddy went after him. Last week, we heard testimony that Diddy went to his apartment when he found out that Cassie was dating Kid Cudi.
Beelined it inside, burglarized it, went for a Chanel gift. This was during Christmas, presumably that he was going to give Cassie.
Right, and then allegedly a month later tries to burn up Cudi's Porsche. Well, what Capricorn said today, she gave us what led up to all of that. She said that on the morning of, I think she said December 12th, 2011, Diddy shows up at her apartment at Capricorn's, banging on the door. She opens the door. She said he had a gun in his hand and said, "Who is Scott? Why didn't you tell me about Scott?"
Scott is Kid Cudi.
Is Kid Cudi's real name. And She said, I don't know anything about a Scott.
Gun in hand.
Right. And he said, this is a quote from her, we're going to kill this N-word, whoever Scott was. So he figured it out, and I think he probably knew at that point, it sounds like. But
well, here's the thing.
Remember, but all of that is, like you said, to the racketeering, if the jury buys what she's saying about how that whole thing went down,
you're in the zone. You're in the zone.
You've now arrived. This is using mafia tactics. We've got threats by Central Park. We've got polygraph machines with a couple of goons that she says Diddy had sort of threatening to throw her in the East River if it went poorly. You know, Jamie's right that her credibility is going to be on the line. She is a former employee and she will be cross-examined intensively. But a lot of this is lining up with what Kid Cudi said, and they want to throw out his testimony. Said it was speculative. He had no idea who burned his car. Now you've got a corroborating witness, and it's starting to all sort of come into place for the prosecution.
The New York jury's going to understand the reference to the East River. That's very old school mafia, you know, some
concrete shoes in the East River.
No, that's totally true. By the way, what Jamie just said, which is she has an axe to grind, she was fired. There's one way of seeing if we can corroborate this, because she said that she worked for Suge Knight, and that's why Diddy threatened her.
Right.
So we have Suge Knight right now on the phone, who is serving time right now in prison, and he is joining us. Suge, welcome to TMZ Live.
Always a pleasure, Harvey. You already know.
Hey, Suge, so Capricorn says that she was threatened, essentially threatened with death, when Diddy found out that she had worked with you. So how it feels like this was a war that involved, you know, getting rid of people almost. I mean, that's the way I'm receiving it. What about you?
I mean, anytime somebody don't want to face somebody, it always the next plan is the two things that happen. Either they send you to prison or they kill you. Well, I'm not dead. Been shot a lot of times, but I am in prison. So,
Suge, you spoke with Capricorn after Diddy allegedly threatened her. So did you speak to her about that, and what did she say about it?
Well, once again, without throwing her on the bus, she felt scared. She felt afraid. And she felt that she was pressured.
But what did she say? What did she say about the threats, Suge?
She felt she was helpless. I think she was looking for help.
Wow.
Okay.
And somebody I know who's really been knowing that we have two kids with was like is her best friend.
Was she concerned for her safety? I mean, did she think this was a hollow threat, or did she think Diddy would make good on it when she talked to you?
She thought he'd make good on it.
Did you talk to her after, did she ever talk to you about the lie detector test? She's testified this morning that at some point they, being people at Bad Boy, not Diddy himself, but people who work for him, made her take a lie detector test. And when she said, well, what if I don't pass it? She said, well, they suggested that she would end up in the East River. Did you speak to her after that? Were you aware of that?
Well, everybody's talk, I was aware of that, of conversation, but I didn't look at it to judge it one way or the other. But you got to understand something, Harvey. Death Row and Bad Boy is more closer than people would think.
Okay, Suge, we so appreciate you talking to us. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a good one, Harvey.
You too, man. Okay, taking a break.
All right, when we come back, the case of the crypto torture in New York City. You've seen one suspect taken out in his robe, and now a second suspect has turned himself in. What we are learning about John Waltz and his business partner, William Duplessis, when we come back. It is the case that plays out. It sounds like it was written for a Hollywood movie.
It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
The crypto kidnapping and torture case in New York City just keeps unfolding, and there are more details this morning because we know you probably heard over the weekend about John Waltz is the guy who was arrested and accused of holding an Italian businessman hostage, holding him and torturing him for almost 3 weeks.
Tasing him while his feet are in water, holding him over a balcony and saying, I'm going to drop you unless you give us the password to your crypto account so we can steal money from you. That's the allegation.
And all of this going down in a very fancy townhome in Soho, New York City.
$40,000 a month.
Wow.
And there are all sorts of things involved, nightclubs and drugs and all sorts of crazy things.
Crazy stories. That's John Waltz in his robe as he was arrested. And then this morning, his business partner turned himself in. This is the video you're about to see is William Duplessis turning himself in. He was police did not go and get him. He knew that they were looking for him and walked in with his lawyers to a New York City precinct to surrender. And we're not sure exactly what charges he's going to be facing. His arraignment has not happened yet. So he is in custody. But the details of this and why all of this happened, it is, as I said, cinematic.
Yeah, this seems like a very sort of tried and true way in a very new technology, right? You have a crime of holding somebody captive in an effort to get their money, allegedly. And it's now about crypto, but it's no different than what, I guess the mafia has been doing forever, right? Which is holding people against their will, trying to extort money out of them.
But Jason, doesn't it seem a little different that with the mafia, you're thinking of these thug guys who are, deep into crime? This just feels
these guys don't
optically
look the
different.
part.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What they want are passwords, right? They wanted this guy's passwords to his crypto account.
Own money.
In which there was a hugely valuable millions of dollars worth of cryptocurrency. But unlike real cash that can be traced potentially or other assets, crypto, once it is turned over, once those passwords are given over, it vanishes into the firmament. And so it really is a perfect crime if they could get the passwords out. But here, apparently the guy escaped before they could get the information that would give them access to the coin.
Also, I find really fascinating about the case is that both of these guys, John Waltz and William Duplessis, are known to be successful already. In fact, they are influencers in the world of crypto.
Charles, what is somebody who has $20 million want?
Of course, they want more.
They want more.
But you don't expect them to get that more by doing what the police are alleging they did.
Well,
That's not the picture.
There are 27 cases recently which involve kidnapping, robbery, burglaries that are connected to crypto.
This is the thing. And if you are in the crypto world, security has got to be something that you are always concerned about. In fact, it is a whole business that our guest is right in the center of. Becca Rubenfeld is a crypto security expert for her company Anchor Watch, and she is joining us right now. Becca, welcome to TMZ Live.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
We appreciate it. So you saw what happened over the weekend. Surprising or unsurprising?
The details are surprising. I mean, what a story, right? The overall situation of having these attacks, these kidnapping situations have been accelerating over the last 6 months. So I would say the fact that it happened, not particularly surprising. The level of depravity in this particular one certainly turns heads.
Becca, is this something that, I mean, there are millions and millions of people who are in crypto, but I guess you would have to know if you were going to, here's what I'm asking. Your clients, what is the number one thing that you tell them? I have an idea of an answer in my head, but what's the number one thing you tell them as far as being safe with your crypto wallets?
So first and foremost, you don't need to flash your wealth. Right. So I think in crypto, there's a particular tendency to really show off your watches, to show off your prizes, show off your winnings, screenshot your holdings. All of that is really a bad idea. And I think there's also a misperception that it's only for the wealthy. So this particular case, obviously, the individuals had significant sums of money. But somebody was murdered for $58,000 of crypto just a couple of months ago. And another couple was attacked for $360,000. So unfortunately, it's quite common. And more than anything, you just don't want to show off your wealth. I think in other areas, you could have a significant amount of wealth in your brokerage account, and that does not make you a target. But because of the nature of how crypto can be sent and the transactions can't be reversed, it is making people a target, and people need to be really considerate of that.
So explain that, because like in the 80s, I remember talk about flaunting wealth. The people who were involved in junk bonds and stocks, they just put it in your face. But we never saw anything like this. So what's the difference between flaunting your wealth from the stock market and flaunting your wealth in crypto?
I think it really is this understanding that people are holding the wealth themselves in their own custody. So unlike if you were just very wealthy and you had your money in a variety of brokerage accounts and with money managers and spread around like that, you can flaunt your wealth and maybe you're wearing an expensive watch on your wrist. But for the most part, a thief wouldn't expect if they come to your home that they will walk away with millions. But when we're talking about crypto and holding private keys alone without support, there is that hope, at least on top of the perpetrators.
So don't flash your wealth. I would imagine that some of your clients say, look, that's part of the game here. Like part of how you make a lot of money in crypto is sort of self-promoting on social media. So do you get a lot of pushback on that one?
I think there's just a reality of some people already have become very public and their wealth is already known. And there's other people who have done a good job or they're just coming into their wealth more recently. And generally, my recommendation would be if people don't really know your circumstance, it's a great idea to keep it that way. There's no reason to open this door, especially knowing what we know now. If if they're known entities and there's no putting the cat back in the bag, then those are the people we serve. So Anchor Watch has wrench attack insurance. So we do custody insurance, and we actually insure against these events. And so if you're already public, this is the important product for them.
We're out of time, but real quickly, it seems to me arrogance is part of this. That there is an arrogance about crypto, that you're cool, that you're that you're on the inside.
You just sounded very uncool.
But it feels like arrogance is a part of this.
Yeah, I think unfortunately a lot of the situations, not every single one, but a lot of the situations, you can really look at the details and you can understand that this was probably avoidable. So I think there's some hubris and arrogance and maybe people who really enjoy the benefits of flaunting that wealth more than they're concerned about the risks, and that works for as long as it works, and hopefully they stay safe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much,
Really
Becca.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it. It's something people got to think about now.
Thanks again.
Yep.
And I know they will be thinking about it more now after the publicity this case is getting.
Bull.
Okay.
It'll go away in a month, trust me. I mean, look at what happens when celebrities have their jewelry stolen. People still wear jewelry.
Okay, fair enough.
Taking a break.
When we come back, Justin Bieber back on stage with SZA, performing with SZA. You're going to see this video. It is got a lot of people talking about what's going on here, why he was on stage with her, and what his wife thinks about it when we come back.
TMZ's got every freaking thing. Big celebs, big stories, big events.
Justin Timberlake made Portland kids' dream come true by joining a bike bus ride. And they always listen to Justin Timberlake.
Cry me a river when they fall.
It's TMZ.
Well, a Justin Bieber appearance on stage is a real moment now in the music industry.
Haven't seen it in more than a year.
He doesn't do it too often anymore, ever since his last tour many years ago.
Well, Coachella. He was in Coachella a year ago.
Right. That was when he was on stage for a performance. Well, he did it again on Friday night for SZA, who is on tour right now with Kendrick Lamar. And during her performance of Snooze at SoFi, Justin Bieber out there not just singing with her, but there was like a vibe going on between them.
Feels like a vibe. Now you should know Haley was not only there but filming it.
Right.
So
don't read
jump to
too much into the
conclusions.
kissing, and yeah, that's look.
There was two takeaways from this video. Obviously, the kissing and stuff, and kind of being touchy-feely with SZA, and a lot of people being like, I don't know anyone whose wife would be cool with that, whether it's like a performance or not. But also, it's like the guy kind of did look a little out of it, and I know maybe he was just super into the music, or I don't know what he was doing. But people are saying it's kind of similar a little bit to like the videos of him at Coachella where maybe he just got lost in the music. I don't know. I don't want to speculate, but he looked a little out of it. I don't know how you guys saw the video.
I mean, it seemed fine to me. He seemed like he was into the performance. I mean, and I know what people are saying, like, oh, no one's wife would be all right with that. His wife knows he's an entertainer, right? This is what he does.
Right.
And the audience was eating it up.
Right.
That's what he's supposed to do.
That's what he's supposed to do. And look, what you're insinuating is he on drugs or whatever else? We know Justin likes weed. I mean, we've seen that. He talks about it. He shows it. I don't know what strain he's hitting before he went on stage, but maybe that's what you're seeing. But it works. I would have slept better last night. Anyway, you should know. I mean, we've talked about Justin's mental health and drug use for a long time. We get into this in this documentary we did on Justin Bieber, what happened to Justin Bieber. And look, I will just tell you this much. He definitely smokes weed. We know that. There have been insinuations of mushrooms, but his people have said there are no hard drugs involved. We have got no evidence of that.
No.
And it's all part of this documentary, which, by the way, is now available on YouTube. So you can watch it for free. It's just interesting that, and we get into everything. We get into money, and we get into the church that he's in, and we get into the fact that he went broke in 2022, broke. He made upwards of $500 million, maybe $1 billion, and he was broke.
Yeah, and that's why he had to sell the catalog.
Right.
For that $200 million. So we get into all that. And we also, of course, get into his relationship with Haley, which, based on Friday night, I would say
is solid.
Pretty solid, yeah.
Hi, I'm Imani. I'm from Atlanta. Those are two of my favorite artists. I do love Justin Bieber. I will say he was getting a little into it with SZA, with the hand thing and the kissing. But I mean, it's great to see him on stage because we rarely do. I think he was just having a good time. And if Haley's cool with it, it's fine. He did look a little drunk at the very least. But as far as substances, no.
Yeah, I mean, that ain't gonna get you in trouble.
No.
Okay, we're taking a break.
When we come back, Jake Tapper's book about President Biden, Original Sin, and all of the things that people looked the other way. But here's the thing, was it people in Biden's administration or in the party that were looking the other way? Or was it the media? We're going to get into that. And there's a big debate about surrounding this book. We're going to get into it with D.L. Hughley when we come back. Welcome back to TMZ Live. President Biden is getting, his ears got to be ringing because a lot of people talking about what went on during his administration because of the book that just came out, Original Sin, came out last week. I'm sure you've heard about this book written by Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson. Jake Tapper, of course, CNN, Alex Thompson, Axios, and CNN. We've had him on the show. And they've done a lot of reporting about what was going on with President Biden's health decline during his presidency and who covered it up. Now,
well, their premise is it was covered up by the Biden administration. Jake Tapper said over the weekend, this is a bigger scandal than Watergate as far as he's concerned. I disagree with that, but that's what he said.
Because you are in the camp where you are pointing the finger at someone other than the Biden administration?
The Biden administration, they're a bunch of politicians. They do what they do. They're politicians. That's what they do, is that they cover for their boss. The media is responsible. For a year before the election, there was plenty of evidence. Fox News ran this. Plenty of evidence of Biden drifting when he spoke, falling, all sorts of things. So it was in plain sight. But the media, much of it was so determined that Trump not get elected again that they ignored it.
I hear what you're saying about Biden's administration, but what about the party? Because that's the part that
Well, but
feels
people
to me
outside the
like
White House,
the party,
they didn't know specifically. They just
Yeah.
didn't.
Well-
But everybody saw it. It's just who chose to report it. I mean,
and that is the debate now about original sin. So joining us now to discuss that, our good man D.L. Hughley. Welcome back for
Hey, baby
another.
boy, how y'all? What's happening?
We're good, man. We're good.
oh, I like the coat.
This is a sweater.
Oh, a
This is
sweater, but I like
baby.
it.
But he
Come on
likes
now.
the color.
I like the color a lot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know.
You look
Hey,
so
Harvey,
swag, man.
come on now. I'm a bad dude. Come on now.
I know, but I'm just saying, a big compliment. I like
hey,
it.
all right, we did fashion, guys. Can
Okay.
we get back to the topic?
DL, the media was so determined not to have Trump elected that they ignored everything that was going on with Biden in plain view. It's not, who cares? We know what politicians do. They cover for their boss. It's the media, and they're writing a book. The media is writing a book saying it's the fault of the administration when it's the fault of them.
I think that we're talking about, it's a semantical argument because ultimately he made the decision to drop out the race.
Too late.
So the
Too late.
right decision got made.
Too
so
late.
I think that what we're talking about is how earlier it should have happened. So, and I think I agree that the media was complicit in it, but I also agree that the media has allowed so many fake stories about laptops and bullets and guns and Obama. There's when the right-wing media might have been right, they were already doing so many disingenuous stories that you didn't know was right. And the left, I think they came on. I think they came on later because I know me and you argued before Biden dropped out. So obviously there were stories about his mental acumen. So there were stories. What we're arguing about, we're splitting hairs. Should they have done it earlier? I think the right went too early, a lot too early, and the media might have, the left wing might have went a little too late.
Did the right go too early? Or, I mean, the reality is that if the media had been more circumspect of this earlier,
absolutely,
then there's a chance, and I get what you're saying, the premise being that the media didn't want Trump to win, so they didn't cover it. But here's the thing, they would have had a better chance of beating Trump had they covered this the way it should have been covered earlier.
They didn't think that was the case.
I think that when we used to argue about the media, I think that who runs these large media markets are very conservative men. So I don't know that the media, CNN has a conservative aspect to it, MSNBC. So it's not.
Oh my God! I watched.
Wait. What part of MSNBC is conservative?
Yeah, what part of MSNBC? And by the way, you're wrong on CNN.
I'm talking about the people that run them. I'm talking about the people that run them.
They did not. They did
people
not
that own the media. The people that own the media, who are in the tank for media, are very conservative people. They own
no.
Who doesn't own
CNN?
Who runs NBC? A very conservative man. Who runs CNN?
Have you watched MSNBC?
I mean, I know I get your point, DL, but there's nothing when you watch it that comes across as conservative at all.
I can't stand watching CNN without wanting to choke the hell out of that Scott Jennings dude who seems to be on everything.
That's one guy.
Actually, I got to say, I enjoy Scott Jennings being on CNN. But anyway, we're getting off the subject.
He's the token. He's the token.
The idea to me, the idea to me that the media at large was in the tank for Biden.
They were.
I think that they're just as much. I think that there was just as much in the tank for Trump, ignoring his the foibles he had, as there was people who were trying to prop Biden. I think that you're right that they should have covered it. But the bottom line is we're talking about 2 months earlier.
No,
like a year earlier.
We're talking a year earlier. And by the way, a year earlier.
He could have declared.
If we had time,
he could have declared that he was not going to run.
On the Two Angry Men podcast, available where you get your podcast, we actually ran a minute 30 of all of these incidents with Biden a year before. Did
you run Trump in France? Did you run Trump in France 2 weeks ago?
They covered.
That's insane.
They covered every trial. And by the way, you're wrong on Hunter laptop. That was a real story, DL.
It was a real story.
It was.
It wasn't a real story.
It was.
It wasn't. If it's a real story, then him enriching himself in the Middle East and doing
that is absolutely a story as well.
Is a real story too. So let's be clear.
That is a story
with you.
That is, you're right.
I don't disagree with you that the media should have acted sooner. I don't disagree with you at all. Ultimately, Biden dropped out of the race. We're having a semantical argument. He
No,
did
we're
drop
not.
out.
Yeah, but
It's
when he
not.
dropped out makes a big difference.
There could have been an open
Like,
primary. I mean, oh my God, DL.
Do you know what would have happened in an open primary? And in an open primary, if you're telling a lot of black women that they had a potential for not having for somebody circumventing the VP, you would have had a bloodbath. Are you crazy?
Okay.
I'm a Democrat.
Excuse me.
You know what would have happened if they had an open primary and tried to go around Kamala Harris?
Let me tell you something.
No,
I was a high school student, but I was the head of those students for Kennedy back when he ran in 1968. On March 16th, 1968, Robert Kennedy announced his run for the presidency. On March 31st, 1968,
How are
2
you
weeks
remembering
later,
these dates? It's
Lyndon
56
Johnson
years.
said he would not run again. It took 2 weeks for that to happen.
Are you
2
okay?
weeks.
What you're saying to me is that it would have been a brokered primary, would have been, or them having an open primary.
Yes.
You're insane. If they would have tried to skip past, if the Democrats,
It happened.
black women are the whole of that party. If they would have tried to skip past her as a vice president, you would have had a bloodbath.
No way.
That's insane.
But the same black women who have a chokehold in the party, as you put it, they would just vote for her in the primary. And by the way, she goes into it with more momentum than having to piece together a campaign in 2
She
months.
wouldn't have gotten a nomination.
We have a different analysis. I think her biggest detriment was her anatomy and her skin. And the fact that a lot of people, a lot of black men and a lot of Latin men and a lot of men, period, couldn't see voting for a woman. So we have a different assessment of what that looks like.
I hear you.
And I also believe that you can't take 7 of the most powerful men in the world who are in the tank for Trump. You can't beat Voltron when it's formed against you. So let's stop pretending like it was all just Biden leaving. There was a lot at play. I can't say for sure. I know for sure that if they would have had a convention where they would a primary and black women would have felt as if they skipped past Kamala, you would have had a bloodbath.
No way.
And they all knew it.
No way.
Another a more positive way to look at it.
They said that with Robert Kennedy and Gene McCarthy and Lyndon Johnson and
Robert Kennedy. Neither one of them was black women.
In an open primary, she has more time to convince the people who maybe in just 2 months were like, I don't know. Maybe you're right, DL. I know you're right. I know you're right that there were people.
There were some people.
I know you're right. There were people who wouldn't vote for her because of her skin color, because of her gender. But in an open primary, you give her more time to actually convince them that she is the right candidate.
Or not.
Or not. Be less black or less female.
Or not. No. Hey, dude.
If you wouldn't have time to get rid of.
No, there wasn't enough time for that. That's true.
You are so swag today. I can't stand it. I
Come
swear
on,
to God.
baby.
You are so swag today, man.
If he shows up wearing a pink sweater next week, man.
And it's a shame I'm wasting it on radio.
I just love it. I mean, it looks so good. Okay,
Thank
DL.
you, baby.
We'll see you next week.
Man. See y'all next week. Thank you, baby.
Really, I don't
know how you remember those dates. It's almost 57 years later.
It was a huge moment in my life.
Wow.
Huge moment in my life. Okay, We're going to take a break.
When we come back, a huge moment for Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce down in South Florida. You're going to see where they were out celebrating and how they celebrated. Wow. They went all out. Well, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift popped up in public again, although not where a lot of her fans expected or wanted her to be, which was at the American Music Awards. They passed on that, and they were down in South Florida.
Oh,
went out
Harry's. Now I get it.
Harry's.
There was a Harry's in Century City in Los Angeles with that same backdrop. It must be part of that chain. It had the same
Harry's bar and restaurant where
they
went?
They had a Harry's in Century City with that same backdrop.
Oh.
How's that from memory?
Wow. I don't recall where that was in Century City. Where? Anyway, Travis and Taylor had a little date night down there. I say little date night, but, you know, even for them going to a place where they have burgers and, you know, decent food.
fancy stuff too.
Fancy stuff too. I don't know exactly what they had.
They went all out for this meal. They did not hold back. We're told they spent about $400. They got a bunch of plates to share, which is such a couple thing.
Was it just them though, Charlie, or were they with friends?
It was just them too. They did have security with them, which we're told that when it came time to pay the bill, Travis and Taylor, they left, but security stayed behind to pay the bill.
They made security pay?
Yeah, but unclear how much
That's probably
was
something
tipped.
security does, actually.
So here are some of the things that they ordered. This is gonna literally make your guys' mouth water. It sounds so good. So they both got a couple cocktails. Taylor's cocktail was called the Milena. It's vodka, passion fruit, and vanilla. Travis also got kind of a frou-frou drink. His drink was called Purple Rain. It's green tea, gin, and citrus. Some of the dishes they got to share were lobster
was there an
risotto,
umbrella in it?
salad,
That's
burger,
definitely an umbrella
wagyu
drink.
filet mignon, broccolini, potato puree, like all the things.
He's in isn't he in training?
Well, he's probably burning a lot of calories every day.
Maybe this is like the cheat day. This could be the cheat day where it's like, okay, we're going to order everything because I'm craving everything.
He's been working out with some teammates down there.
It is interesting. So, look, she was on tour for a long time and he was playing. So this is kind of the time that they now kind of settle in and kind of see how day-to-day life is. Yeah, and
this is where the rubber meets the pavement.
It is. And he
got to make a decision.
He rented a nice house in Palm Beach, and they seem to be living there. So it's moving along.
Listen, as a self-proclaimed Swiftie, this story gives me all of the life. Seeing our girl out and about with her eye candy these last couple weeks is all the justification us Swifties needed after there was speculation of a breakup. She's glowing and they look so happily in love, and I love that they are traveling together and building their relationship. Now, I don't know why.
They're not traveling. They're actually
they're traveling. They're
traveling?
out of. Yeah, they're not in a town where they live. They're on vacation.
Well, he's rented a house at a point.
I know,
that's where
but
they're
neither
living.
of them get their mail delivered to West Palm Beach. So yes,
it's about mail.
Why do you got to nitpick at everyone?
I'm just saying, they're not traveling. They're living in a house. They're living in a house.
If you're not at home, you're traveling.
You're not. That's not true. If you rent a place for 3 or 4 months.
Oh my God.
That's where you're living.
On vacation.
Oh God. Let's take a break. Honestly.
When we come back, the aforementioned American Music Awards, where Taylor wasn't. Jennifer Lopez was there hosting and maybe checking out someone new or someone's. Her opening performance has got a lot of people talking, especially her backup dancers who had to do more than dance.
Where can you see huge stars in Hollywood? No, not the planetarium, that's for nerds. We mean the TMZ Celebrity Tour, where we've seen huge stars like Kevin Hart, Rihanna, Ben Affleck, The Rock, Mark Wahlberg, Lizzo, Lady Gaga, Ryan Seacrest, and Jamie Foxx. You'll learn the secrets of the city and see Hollywood as only TMZ can show you. Buses depart daily from the Hard Rock Cafe in Hollywood, so head to TMZTour.com and book your tickets for the TMZ Celebrity Tour.
Well, Jennifer Lopez hosting the American Music Awards turned out to be kind of the biggest thing at the American Music Awards. A lot of talk. It was held in Vegas at the Fontainebleau. First time they'd done that. Not a lot of people showed up. Not a lot of the big names. We mentioned Taylor Swift wasn't there. Nope. Beyonce wasn't there. Billie Eilish wasn't there. But Jennifer Lopez made the most of her time as the host because she also performed. And during her performance, she decided that she was going to get to know her backup dancers a little better. Several of them. I know what you're thinking.
What am I thinking?
You're thinking that this is an attempt to sort of repeat what Madonna and Britney did years ago.
Yes. I
don't see it as exactly the same thing.
What are you talking?
It's not exactly the same. First of all, J-Lo kissed men and women.
Charles.
And I think it was more playing off of
Charles.
She's single? And she's just sort of advertising that? I mean, if you want to see it as art, or if you just want to see it as just a titillating thing that they did because that's what award shows tend to do.
Sure.
Take your pick.
That's absolutely right. And, you know, I think everyone's kind of making a big deal because J-Lo's had a pretty rough year because, you know, with the whole Ben Affleck split and everything. I got to say, I think J-Lo was setting the tone perfectly with this. She's back. She's a performer. She's coming back to stage. That's not changed. And she's showing that she's still got it. She's still going to perform, and she's still sexy. I think that's just the point she's trying to prove.
That's it. It's not complicated.
She doesn't need to prove
that. It's not high
that.
concept.
I know, she doesn't need to prove that. It's like that.
Of course you do.
That
As
just feels,
a performer, you always need to.
Okay, I get it. I mean, you.
And also, she's the host. She's got to do something splashy for the opening number.
Okay.
And by the way, they needed her to do it because they didn't have
anybody.
They didn't have anybody else. So like, J-Lo, you're gonna perform to Billie Eilish's
hardly
song.
high praise.
But bigger paycheck, probably.
This is Melinda from Clear Lake, Iowa. Listen, she definitely did an amazing job on the AMAs. I think she showed up acting like she had something to prove, and she proved it. Honestly, I think that somebody needs to see how Ben's doing.
I think Ben's okay.
Ben's good.
Ben's doing fine.
He knows that that's what she can do.
Okay, what else do you guys want to talk about?
Hi, my name's Christina. I'm from Sacramento, and I want to talk about Diddy and Cassie. She is currently hospitalized. And just with everything that was going on in the trial, having to relive all of those experiences is insane. And I can only imagine the trauma that she's going through. I believe she's only 8 months at this point. So, I mean, really praying for her and her baby and family.
I think she may have been a little more further. Yeah, I think they said the end of the month. Yeah. We're pretty much there. Yeah. What else?
Hi, my name is Ariel from Virginia, and I wanted to comment on the crypto trader whose robe came undone. I definitely think this was instant karma, but luckily enough for him, he had a nice cop who closed up his robe. But I'm pretty sure he was embarrassed about getting arrested. Now he's getting embarrassed about having his whole jump being exposed. So just the icing on the cake.
We forgot to mention that element.
Yeah, that the robe did open up, but that doesn't rise to the level of karma for me. If he did what he allegedly did to this Italian businessman,
not exactly
your robe
karma.
Opening, not the same.
Not karma.
No.
One more.
Hey, it's Gigi from Montreal, and on the topic of Justin Bieber, honestly, it's just nice to see him on stage having fun. There's so many eyes on him, on his every move, his health, mental health, physical health. Haley was in the audience. She enjoyed it, so looks all good to me.
Yeah, it looked good. It looked like a fun night.
Indeed.
Okay, we're going to take a break.
When we come back, Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson keep dropping breadcrumbs. Are they engaged? Well, Jordan dropped more than a breadcrumb this weekend. You'll see it when we come back. Jordan Hudson, Bill Belichick's girlfriend, has got to know that every single move she makes, people are watching now, particularly in North Carolina, where there's been so much tension between herself and the university where Bill is coaching. So when she was at the airport in Raleigh-Durham over the weekend, she had to know that people would notice that there's a ring on that finger, on that hand.
I don't know what you're saying.
It's hard to make out what kind of ring it is.
I don't know what you're saying.
But if Jordan Hudson wears a ring on her left ring finger?
She knows exactly what she's doing. That, is she engaged? Well, you look at that ring. She is sitting in a public airport.
I can't tell. I'm not ready to say for sure, but...
You're not ready to say for sure. Let me add this to the equation.
This is the other breadcrumb.
Look at Bill's boat.
It's 8 rings. Those are his Super Bowl rings. But then they added the +1 there.
The +1. So what is that +1 ring? Gee, what could it be?
That's another breadcrumb.
What I'm wondering is, so what are Bill's 3 kids thinking about all of this?
Oh, boy.
I'm just telling you, this is the way it generally works.
No, I agree with you. I'm sure they're thinking a lot about it.
Oh, God. Okay.
All right.
To be continued. We'll see you tomorrow.